We're just going to meditate on. Welcome, guys, to Meditation 101. We're going to be silent for 1 hour.
Well, I wanted to start off the episode a little bit differently, just with a quote about Michael. And it's whenever you see a successful business, someone has made a courageous decision within. So, episode 28 is all about Michael Earl. I'm going to talk about Michael. I'm going to talk about himself. He loves to talk about himself, so this will be pretty easy for him. We're going to try and cap it at 10 minutes, but we'll see how we go. We're going to talk about a few different things about how he balances business and pleasure and the challenges that come with being responsible, not only for employees like myself, but also members too. So starting with you, Michael, just a quick chat about yourself. How did you get into the business of CrossFit?
The business of CrossFit. I wouldn't necessarily say business of CrossFit. I would just say fitness and exercise in general. For myself, I've always been very heavily involved in sport. It's always been my outlet. Going through injury, I was studying engineering at university. During that process, I was also playing cricket at a pretty high level. Got injured. During my injury, I just had a bit more time. So during my spare time, I went and studied. I was doing my 3 and 4. Cert 3 and 4 in fitness. And then I actually got picked up to go and work before finishing my Cert 3 and Cert 4. So we ended up doing, at the time, was a full year, full-time, used to be a whole year. And you were there 5 days a week, basically full-time. We ended up finishing the course in 3 months. We were just staying back at the library, me and another guy, and we would just make sure that we were ahead and getting on top of everything. Word got out, we got picked up pretty much straight away. We had a job working at Breathe back in the day, and then from there ended up picking up another job doing just some part-time coaching down at the lake, running boot camps and that for other people. So a little bit more of a lower level in terms of training, still very productive. Then from there, the opportunity kind of just came up to get the business. So the guy I was working for just ended up selling. Opportunity it was never a plan. It's not like I'd planned to go and start my own thing. It just kind of happened. And then from there, within 3 years, we decided to rebrand. The plan was to always rebrand. People just don't like change, so it's something you need to try and do kind of slowly or give them some value when you perform that change. So when we had a bit of a facility upgrade and we moved across the road, that was the perfect opportunity to now rebrand and restructure things a little bit. And then from there, it's just been business as per normal.
Cool. And in that time, that transition from, I guess, PT to owner, there was, like you said, there was a particular point where there was an opportunity that came up to buy a business and buy into the business that you were working for. Was there any challenging situations that came up, any long conversations that you had back then that obviously now has paid off, but that you might not have thought have gone the way that it has at the moment? So is there anything that's led to the moment that you are now that you could have turned away? You'd be like, oh, no, maybe this is too risky or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. But I think if you have that attitude of avoiding risk, then it's not for you, because it is about taking risks, and it's about being okay with that, being okay to fail. The fail's just a lesson. So I had no background in business. I had some basic understanding. I had people around me that I could leverage, which I was very lucky with. But it was definitely a process of just trial and error. So literally just jump in, make the failures, make sure that I was just making a decision. A lot of the decisions were the wrong decision, and then it was just the process of reflection and adapting and adjusting from there, and then learning as you go. I'm a big one where you're constantly learning and unlearning. You don't really want to have a fixed mindset, because everything is always changing. You look at like the economy, you look at like what's socially accepted. It's never stationary. It's forever changing. So if you have a mindset of just, okay, I'm this way and this is the only way I am, then you're probably not going to be, you might be successful short term, but you're not going to be successful for a long period of time.
Yeah, you're not able to adapt with how the world is shifting. Speaking of mistakes that you've made, what would some of the biggest mistakes that you've made as a business owner owning Unbound Athletic? Like, even just the ones that you can name some of the biggest ones and how you ended up overcoming that.
I wouldn't call them mistakes. They were just lessons. The biggest one I made, I'm very much big on win-win. So any decision I make or any conversation I have or any business deals, I always want to try and leave the table with value for both parties or all parties. I'm not one who is going to go into a scenario where it's like, I'm just going to manipulate this in my favor. I don't really believe in individual success. It doesn't exist. All right. We live in a society where everything is integrated, whether we like it or not. We're leveraging the work of other people who've done it before us. We're leveraging look at information. All right. It's information that comes from other people who've already gone through things. So the decisions in that we make from there on, they're still influenced by other people. So we're still taking advantage of other situations and circumstances. And success is very lonely if it's by yourself. So even if you do end up being successful, if no one around you is successful, you've got no one to share it with. It's very much about, there's a quote in one of the books I was reading at the moment, and it talks about making sure that you find something that allows you to, your values there in terms of not necessarily trying to make more money, but having the drive to uplift and provide value to everyone else. And inherently that will create a lot of wealth. Those successful people that are out there trying to uplift everyone else, they're generally the ones who are making a lot of money because they're providing a lot of value, and that value is always going to be there for other people.
Yeah, and people inherently trust someone who's not just asking for a cut of the cake. They're willing to give them the advice, the time of day, the position, whatever their service offers. They're willing to give more than what's required. So people are willing to give them something because they want to support that individual. I guess being an affiliate, how long have you had this CrossFit affiliation for at Unbound, and do you have any long-term members that have been with you since you were at your old location?
So we've just gone over 10 years. We've had members who've been here from the start. So we've had members who have been here for the 10 years. It's incredible to see that and just see the change that they're able to constantly make and be part of their journey as well. You read any mindset book or any business book, and a lot of it always talks about looking after yourself and your health. I mean, whether it's 5 a.m. Club, whether it's the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, all those books talk about like maintaining your body and your health. And we get to experience that with people every day. We come across people who are on that part of the journey. They're looking to look after themselves and develop themselves and live healthy lives, and then that carries over into everything else they do. So it's incredible. It's very, very satisfying.
Yeah. What would you say your biggest fear as a business owner is?
It'd be letting the members and the staff down. So my biggest fear would be if something was to happen that's out of my control and I didn't see it coming, example, COVID, and I couldn't look after my staff is my worry. So when we went through COVID, the business model for the gym industry is very much contract based because it's high profit and you don't necessarily have to pay a lot of money for the coaches. We decided to go away from that. Now, the reason we decided to go away from that and go more for part-time and full-time is because of the fact that then you can also help people and look after people. COVID showed us that when that happened, you couldn't do anything for anyone. So like my hands were tied. I couldn't go and help the contractors out in any way. If they hadn't looked after anything or they'd missed some stuff with tax returns, then they were in trouble. All right. It's like they couldn't get the assistance. I mean, you look at half the companies that got the assistance, it wasn't the ones that needed it.
Yeah.
Like the fact that Harvey Norman got so much funding, but they also had record trade just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no.
And that was probably one of the hardest things I ever personally had to go through, was just feeling like you couldn't look after the people that you're meant to look after.
Yeah, 100%. And especially with the time it was, like everyone had their own adversity around COVID in some way, shape or form, but it was definitely a lot more affected by the amount of businesses that weren't able to stay operational during that time and had to eventually close.
And it was the same thing for the members, like just watching the decline in like mental health and just seeing how people were just becoming more stressed and more anxious. You're not allowed outside. You're not allowed to do this. People were turning against each other rather than just accepting a difference of opinion. That's just not where people should be from a social point of view.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not how humans are supposed to be. We're supposed to be community based. We're supposed to be around other people, and sharing each other's goals, accomplishments, etc. Last question for you, Michael. For the business, looking into the next 3 to 5 years, do you have any goals that you're looking at trying to achieve?
Yeah, we have some big moves that we'd like to do in the next 3 to 5 years. We'll keep them internal. I like it to be a surprise, but it definitely is going to be along the lines of success for more than just ourselves. It's success for everyone. Like I said, I'm big on win-win, so all parties need to win out of this. All right, so the business needs to win, the employees need to win, and the members need to win. So it's going to increase value massively for everybody if we can pull it off, and it's really just making sure that we put the plans in place to do it.
Yeah. And what about you? Personal goals for yourself? Let's just say one business, one CrossFit looking into the next 3 to 5 years.
For business, it's really just making sure that I improve on some of the little things. So communication for me is something that doesn't necessarily come natural. I'm someone who I don't delegate very well. I struggle with guilt. So I will very much make sure that I'm here all the time. I'll very often do 70-hour weeks, struggle to find balance, more because I don't necessarily want to overload people with work. I understand that they have stresses in their life. I understand that they have things going on. And it's something that I've got to try and battle internally. It's I don't need to do everything, and try and make sure that the trust and the belief in the team is strong, and that we're able to help each other out wherever it may be. And we just try and find more balance that way, because that way people are more productive. It's not necessarily about working more hours. It's about being better with the hours that we work. And then that allows us to balance other things. So it allows us to balance life. It allows us to balance training, sharpen the saw. So we can go away, we can have a holiday, we can enjoy that holiday, right? And then we come back refreshed, nice and productive, and we go again.
Yeah, and you're not avoiding the workplace because you're like, oh my God, they worked me so hard last time. I'm not ready to go back. Like, it's that whole thing of like, you're not avoiding work because it's not a place you want to be. It should be a place you want to go. And that's one of the biggest things from me as an employee is like, it's looking for a place that's a career, not a job. Because jobs, you show up to do the minimum amount of work required, whereas careers, you show up to try your best to put everything you have into a task. And
yeah, there was something that stuck with me. So everyone's heard it before, where it's like the American dream. Like, I know everyone just says, oh, it's the American dream. Now, to people coming from third world countries and that, the American dream, if I said to you, what's the American dream? No one actually knows. Everyone says, oh, it's the house, it's the family, it's this. That's not the American dream. The American dream is upward mobility. It's just your ability to improve your circumstances based on the effort and the work that you do. And that's all. It provides purpose, and it allows people to be more passionate about what they do.
Yeah, and that's definitely something you've got to have, especially if you're in a workplace that you want to achieve or want to succeed in. You've got to either have something that you can progress towards, or you've got to have the ability to use the skills that you've gained to create something for yourself, where a lot of people will be in a work or in a job that they have no progression. There's nowhere up. Like, there's one position and that's it. Or to progress, it's very hard. You're going to have to, kiss someone's ass to get further. And it's like, sometimes that's not what it takes. But that's going to cover off really nicely you, Michael, about your balancing business and pleasure, and some of the challenges that come with being responsible for both members and employees. Anything you'd like to add before we close off?
Main thing for anyone out there, like other business owners and things like that, in terms of employment process, it's something that I've definitely had to learn. It's less about skills. All right. So skills actually mean nothing. Skills can be taught. So you really want to make sure that you understand, what you want your morals and principles to be in how you run your company. And then when you employ, that's what you look for as well. So you make sure that you pay attention to the principles and the morals that person lives their life by, and make sure they align with you, and the skills can be taught.
Yeah. No, that's going to cover nicely of episode 28, Michael Earl.